Hello.
Hey, can you see me?
Nope.
All
Now
right. Okay.
my video on. Hold on.
How's it going?
It's good.
Man, sorry I'm late. I was trying to find the password. I had it saved somewhere. And
Oh, you have to type in
barely
a password
found it.
when you do it?
All right. So okay, so what is it you wanted to chat with before we started the meeting?
So I guess you'll make me co-host.
Okay.
And then I will be the one that will be looking for when you call on for public comment or for.
So you're gonna monitor all of the hands raised and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Do you want to give the lowdown on like how to raise your hand and do all the Zoom stuff in the beginning?
Yes, I
Okay.
can do that. If my computer's gonna work here with the agenda. That's on the agenda, right? I think so. Yeah, I can. So I'll go over that, and then you'll go through the. Do you want me to also tell them that first it's going to be council members, and then after each item you will open it up for public? Okay. Anything else? I think.
There was the what was the thing that got canceled? I'm trying to bring up the agenda here. All right, so Stand Back, that's the one that got canceled tonight?
Regular items, we will not be discussing Stand Back. It is being tabled until the county has all their info.
Okay,
Was it on here? I don't even. Do you see it on the agenda? I don't see it on the agenda.
Do you know who put the dog door on downstairs? You didn't do it.
it's on the regular agenda, the Stand Back one, but I think that it got canceled last minute before we could pull it off, but.
Okay, I don't even see. Is it which bullet point is it?
It's the very first regular agenda item.
I don't know how I didn't see that. Okay, so we're not going to discuss it.
Well, I think that Sue said that we could still take like comment or something, but we weren't gonna obviously present it. So I don't know. I mean, what's the precedent here? Like, what do we typically do in that situation? We just don't.
I think we usually take comment if people came to comment on the item thinking that they could.
So I don't see you there in a waiting room or anything. So.
Did you make me co-host, Tim?
Let me see here. So where do I do this?
So usually under, like, if you go to participants, and then next to my name, there should be some little icons. And if you click on
gotcha. Okay. All right, there we go.
Okay.
Did it work?
Yeah, so now I'm co-host, so I'm going to make sure. So I'm not going to allow participants to unmute themselves. They're going to have to like raise their hand and then I'll unmute them. Like when you say it's time for public comment, I'll go through and then I'll call on the people. I'll try to keep track of who raises their hand first.
Okay.
I think that's it. And then as you call people, I'll look for them, like the sheriff. Sue sent me who the sheriff, what, like the names of the sheriffs, the CSD.
Okay.
And the consent agenda items, possibly, she said possibly Kirk and Marianne Welton and Manuel Grijalva. I don't know how to say that name, if they want to speak.
Okay.
Wow, 16 people. It's going to be a busy meeting.
Yeah.
Let's see if do you see any council members that are waiting to get in?
Yeah, I think I got them all.
Okay.
Do you, let's see, y'all got kicked out, I think. I'll put her back in. Are you going to be doing the admit or you want me to do that?
I can do that if
Okay.
while people are waiting. While you're
Might as well get it all started now, right? I can start doing it too.
Uh-oh, what is that?
I'm gonna mute people upon entry,
Yeah.
and then I'll go ahead and unmute any council members that come in.
Okay.
So I know that Paul is waiting. I don't see him. Do you see him, Sandra? I don't see
Yeah,
him.
Yeah.
I saw him in there.
Okay, but he's not in yet. Okay. You're not letting people in yet?
No, we are just slowly. They're coming.
So
in.
where is he not in? Okay.
He's coming. He's here.
Oh,
We won't leave him out. I promise.
no, I know. It's just that he's been talking to me. It's like, oh, I'm there. So he's in his
Bugging you in the background.
studio. He's in his studio.
Okay, I'm going through and I'm gonna ask to unmute council members. Please be patient.
Thank you. Hi, Sandra.
Hi.
Hi, Sue. How's it going?
Hi, Tim. I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. Good to
Nice
see you.
to see you. Well, I like the color of paint on your walls. It's like mine.
Dave and Bev have their hand raised. I'm just gonna see if they have asked. Unmute Dave and Bev if you have a question.
They're practicing the raise hand.
Thank you for your help, Susan.
Oh, hi, Jim. You made it.
Yeah,
Good job. There you go.
Hi, I just wanted to say that when you click on the link, it says the meeting is for January 28th.
That is true. I saw it too.
But it also says it's for February 28th and March 25th and April 29th and May
Not when you
27th.
come on. No, Sue, when you come on, it doesn't not say that.
Oh, where does it not say that? I don't understand.
When
which
you're
way it says.
waiting, when you say the host will invite you, wait, it says it's for whatever Dave said. I saw it.
I see.
I will change that so it
Yeah.
just says the regular meeting and won't have the date in it.
Right, right. Okay. You.
Sandra, did you get my forms?
I did. Thank you.
Last minute.
It's all right. They're in
Ooh.
there. Okay, if there's any council members that I have not unmuted, please raise your hand and I will. Oh. Lynette, you should be able to unmute now. Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, Lynette, how's it going?
Fine. How about you, Tim?
Good. Good to see you.
Good.
All right, should we get started? Do we have all of our council members here? Does it look
We
like
have a quorum.
we do?
I think
That's all
so.
we need.
All right, let's get this started and let's do the roll call.
Tim, you're here. Yes. Trish,
Here.
Christine. Not here yet.
I think she
Lynette.
was. I see her in there. She's muted.
Ah,
Oh, okay, let me find her. Okay. Oops. I might have asked on. Okay.
Christine, you around?
Unmute. Yes, I'm here.
Great. Hi, Chris. Lynette. Oh, we already got Lynette. Yael.
Yes, I'm here.
Jan.
Yes.
Larry.
Present.
Yes. And Jim.
Yes.
And Sandra.
Yes.
Whoa, we're all here.
All right, well, great. Thanks, Sue.
Sure.
And thank you so much, Sue, for everything you've been doing with Locac too. I really appreciate
Oh,
it.
my
It's
goodness,
you
it's
do
my
so much. It's amazing.
Thank you, Tim.
I don't have any chairperson announcements, but for the meeting protocols, Sandra, if you want to, give everybody the lowdown on how to raise your hand and the protocols of the mute.
Yeah, so everybody is muted except for council members. So when it's time, Tim will call out when it's time for public comment. Just raise your hand. The raise hand icon will be at the bottom of your screen. You should see a little icon with a happy face. If you click on that, there should be an option that says raise hand. You click on that. As you can see, I did it, and you see a raise hand in my box. Also, if you don't have that, if you're on a Mac, you can click in the bottom bar, click raise hand, or you can click option Y, and that should be able to raise your hand. Or on Windows, you can click Alt plus Y. And if you're calling in on a phone, you hit *9. And those are all the ways to raise your hand. I think that's
Then there's the old fashioned way.
yeah. And if
Yeah.
you're waving frantically, then I'll try to see.
That's right, Jim.
I do have to scroll through multiple screens, so please just be patient with me. I'll try to keep track of people as they raise their hand, and then I have to go through and find it and unclick them.
What about the chat box? Like if somebody wanted to say something in like the chat box, are you monitoring that too?
I think the chat, people can only chat with the host.
Okay.
So the chat is if you have any specific questions, then myself or Tim will be able to see that chat.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Great. All right, so let's get started then. Do we have the sheriff here for the sheriff's report?
Hello, this is Deputy Bean with the San Luis Obispo Sheriff's Office.
Good evening.
Good evening. Would you like to report?
Yes, sir.
All righty. For February 1st through the 24th, we've had a total of 71 calls for service compared to 59 from last year. The breakdown of those calls are 4 assault/battery calls, 34 disturbance calls, 4 burglary calls, 3 thefts, 5 vandalisms, 2 mail thefts, 1 phone scam, 8 suspicious search calls. The deputies have done 52 enforcement stops and 22 preventative patrol activities. That's the breakdown of those. If anybody has any questions.
All right, any questions from the Locac members first?
Sorry, I was looking for my raised hand. Yes, could you please repeat your name, Deputy?
Sure, it's Deputy Bean, and that's spelled B as in boy, E-E-N-E. I've been at the Coast Station for about 13 years.
Well, thank you very much.
You bet.
Could you explain what the last thing you said, the preventative?
Preventative patrol activity. That's going to be a business check or a check of a shopping center. If we have had problems in a certain area, the sergeant or commanders will send out an email asking for extra patrol of a certain facility or a certain deal. And so as patrol would do is, a few times in your shift, you would go out to that location, generate a call on the computer showing that you're doing extra patrol, and then go specifically check that area. And so that logs in a preventative patrol activity.
Thank you.
That's just one example.
All right, are there any questions from public members?
Let me look. I don't see any raised hands.
Great. All right, well, thank you very much for your report. Have a good evening.
Thank you for having me. Same to you.
All right, and then do we have somebody for the highway patrol report this evening?
Yeah, I just unmuted. You should be able to unmute. Okay.
Yes, I'm here. Greg Klingenberg with the California Highway Patrol, San Luis Obispo area.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. So for our report for the month of January, we had 9 collisions occur in and around Losos. 5 of those were property damage only, no injury collisions. 4 of those collisions were minor injury collisions. And we made 3 DUI arrests on the beats in and around Losos as well for the month of January. And that's the January report, and I certainly am available for questions.
All right, any Locac members have questions?
Interested where those accidents occurred.
I can give you the locations, sure. So we had a private property collision on 1240 Los Osos Valley Road. At 10th and Santa Isabel was an additional one. At 9th and Los Osos Valley Road. We included Los Osos Valley Road between Los Osos and San Luis as well. We had 2 in the vicinity of Turi Road. Also on Los Osos Valley Road, south of Valle Vista Place. There's the second one near Turi that I had. We had 3 near Turi, 3 within 2 miles of Turi Road, and then we had one that was about a little over a mile and a half west of Foothill as well. So we include Los Osos Valley Road. That's obviously a well-traveled
Right.
Road between San Luis and Los Osos. So we include that.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Great question. I appreciate it.
All right, any public members have any questions? All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for your service to the community.
Yeah,
and
thank
have a
you
great
too.
night.
Have a good evening. All right, do we have county staff report? We have somebody here for the county staff report, or we can move on to Supervisor Gibson.
I just had the operator.
Oh, okay.
You have to give me a little bit.
Good evening.
Hi, Carrie. How's it going?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Good. Don't have too much to report. We did submit the Los Osos community plan and the vacation rental ordinance for Los Osos to the Coastal Commission for their review. I don't know if I just echoed. So that was submitted. It is part of a larger submittal. But we did touch base with Coastal, and they understand that the community plan is a priority. And they also agreed that potentially it would be separated from the vacation rental ordinance so they could act on that sooner. But we'll see as they review that. And they will be, providing comments and questions to us, and I'll keep you guys updated as we get more information. And that's all I had.
And do you know when the Coastal Commission is actually going to be voting on this?
No, I don't.
Adopting the community. So this is something that's going to be on their docket like next year or later this year?
Well, we'll have a better idea once they review the whole package, and they may ask for additional information. They might, they're going to review it and probably act on the easier, the submittal has like 7 parts. So they may look at some of the other ordinance amendments first.
So they can cherry pick what they want to vote on or not?
They can.
Okay.
But they want to make sure that they have to review it and make sure that it's consistent with all of their regulations. So it will take them some time to review the community plan.
Okay, but you're taking the vacation rental portion out of it so they can vote on that sooner if they want to.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Are there any questions from Locac members? Anybody from the general public that has a question for Ms. Brown?
Hold on, let me just look through.
I see Lindy has her hand up.
Okay, Lindy. I just asked to unmute. There you go. Go ahead, Lindy.
Hey, good evening, Carrie and everybody. I see more and more for sale signs going up on property, empty lots around town. And I just want to, and I've heard people get kind of incomplete answers from the county when they call to ask about the chances of building. So I just want to make sure that realtors and the county are in tune with keeping people aware that there may be a long wait if they're just now purchasing an empty lot. So can you confirm, or have you got any, I don't know, ideas about how that's affecting all these properties going up for sale so quickly?
No, I don't really have any control over people selling their property, but I can tell you that we do tell people of all the restrictions in Los Osos. We give very detailed emails to real estate agents. We tell them about the Los Osos waiting list. And we also give them the growth management advisory memo that was produced for the Planning Commission. So we do provide a lot of information to real estate agents and potential new buyers.
Okay, thank you.
All right, do we have anybody else, Sandra?
Thank you. I just wanted to say, Carrie, thank you very much. I know you guys worked really hard to submit the community plan. It's a huge thing. So thanks for getting it in. And I'm glad to hear they were already responding. So very cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And we have Supervisor Gibson here.
We do. Pleasure to be with you, Mr. Chairman, and
Good evening.
members of the public, as it always is. Indeed, let me start by talking about Los Osos community plan and all the other pieces of things that relate to Los Osos that are headed to the Coastal Commission. Yeah, I expect that it's going to be late this year before we get some. It'll be at least several months before we get some feedback from coastal staff. And if we get in front of the commission this year, I think we will have accomplished a fair amount. One thing that the commission is deeply involved in right now in San Luis Obispo County is the matter of the Oceano Dunes and the off-highway vehicle riding area down there. They are going to have a special meeting on March 18th, and there's some very, very big issues as to the future of that particular state park. So, I expect in terms of taking up things in San Luis Obispo County, that they're going to need to get beyond that a ways before they do. There's not much else that I have Los Osos specific, but let me just run through a couple of things, all sort of related to COVID, or at least two of the three sort of related to COVID. One of them is rental assistance. We know that the pandemic has caused a lot of economic harm to a variety of folks, and it is not spread evenly. We know we have renters that are in serious issues with rent that's unpaid. We have an eviction moratorium, but it is a temporary business. But the good news out of all this is that the county has received a little over $17 million in state and federal funding to provide rent relief to tenants and also to landlords. And the rent relief for tenants includes other associated expenses such as utilities and things like that. This money appeared fairly, I won't say unexpectedly, but it's been announced fairly recently. Supervisor Ortiz-Legg and myself are working with our staff to make sure we craft a program that is actually going to work and to address the needs of folks. And in that program, the biggest single thing we see is the need for public outreach. So if you know of people who are struggling with their housing because of unpaid rent due to COVID, loss of jobs, loss of income, please don't hesitate to direct them to our office to get connected with what's available. There's going to be, significant information coming out through our normal channels, but both Supervisor Ortiz-Legg and I are very, very concerned that we get a robust public outreach program going, because there are a lot of folks who are not otherwise connected with county services who I think are going to be affected by that. But this is stuff that's going to be coming up in the next month or two. On homelessness, there is state money coming through the program that was established by AB 101 back in 2019, Homeless Housing Assistance and Prevention, or HAP, HHAP. And those monies are being allocated in the next month or two. And I've been working with a variety of stakeholders on the North Coast to up the services available to homeless individuals on the North Coast. And one of the promising areas of that is the simple matter of outreach on the street. And we've actually gotten some news from Santa Barbara County that a concentrated effort of engagement with folks who are unsheltered has yielded some rather remarkable results in terms of getting them connected with services. The resistance to connection with services is a real issue that we deal with. So I will be working with, again, representatives of the communities on the North Coast to come forward with a program that's going to increase homeless services in our area. And then finally, of course, COVID continues to be the overriding issue that we deal with. We are poised to enter the red tier if we can keep our numbers low for another week. The county will move to the less restrictive red tier out of purple. That will be good news for everyone, businesses included. The real issue of the day is our vaccination system. As you probably know, we have a very well-developed vaccination program that lacks only for a supply of vaccine, ironically, and that's been an ongoing struggle that we've had with the state, is to get some predictability into how many vaccine doses we're going to be able to receive. Transparency in terms of how vaccines are distributed between various counties, with an eye toward making sure that we have equity in that distribution. But our county is staffed and ready to administer as many as 15,000 vaccines a week. This week, it looks like we're going to hit about 10,000, and that's again constrained only by supply. The vaccines are available to folks 65 and older, and a variety of folks who are deemed essential frontline workers, like healthcare workers and public health responders. The news is that there's been tremendous frustration. You may have heard tremendous frustration in folks who are eligible for the vaccine, who have a hard time getting an appointment to actually get their shots. And that's just, again, supply and demand. But we're moving next week. At some point next week, we'll have a new system in place that changes the way we allocate that. Right now, folks have been hovering over their computers at 9 o'clock on Thursday morning, hoping to get one of the few slots that are available. We're going to set up a registration system that folks can register at any time, indicate that they're eligible, indicate they're interested in getting a vaccine. And then to the extent that the number of doses is not sufficient to serve the number of registrants, we'll actually hold a lottery to decide in a given week who would actually get an appointment. And again, far from perfect, but it allows folks to express their interest, get on a list, and have a chance to get vaccinated. So look for more details of that coming out next week. And the Public Health Department did want to make sure that folks are encouraged to go get tested for COVID. Primarily, of course, to be able to catch cases before they get widely transmitted. But also, the more testing we do, the more contribution that makes to the metrics that they look at to decide what tier this county is going to be in terms of restrictions on businesses and other public gatherings. So, we encourage folks to get tested. There are a variety of sites to get that done. and all that's on the website. So that's my report at this point. Lots of course, other things going on in county land, but be happy to take questions at this point.
All right, thank you very much. Any Locac members that have questions for Supervisor Gibson?
I have a question or two questions.
Mhm.
Where are teachers now on the list to be able to get vaccinated?
We are reserving 10% of our 10% of our vaccines to get teachers vaccinated.
Yeah, because kids are starting back to school. I've heard March 6th. So
Yeah.
you think that the teachers would be
And
frontline
that's-
workers, right?
You know, I do not have school-aged children any longer, but I certainly empathize with those who do, and with the children who've suffered an extraordinary year of disruption to their education. What happens is that if the county does achieve the red tier and maintain it for 5 days, there's a substantial reopening of schools available there. And vaccinating teachers is absolutely, in my mind, core to that. The state has indicated they want a 10% reserve to be devoted that direction. I'm totally supportive of that. And Dr. Borenstein's indicated that that's the case with our public health team.
And would that 10% be for like a teacher that say is like maybe worried about catching COVID and they have to go back to work, or?
Well, it's for actually any educational staff that's involved in in-person education. So it's first of all folks who are interested in having the vaccine, and remarkably, that's not everyone. We have a separate program working to educate folks about the importance and the safety and the need to get vaccinated. But any kind of school staff that are involved in in-person education will be eligible, as I understand the program.
Okay, great.
And then my second question was in terms of the public outreach for the COVID funds available. Is there collaboration with the school districts and with the public health department? Is there like a concerted effort to get that information out through those avenues?
When you say the COVID funds, you're thinking about the rental rental assistance. Yeah, it's been my thought that we should be reaching out to PTAs and family resource centers and schools, because they would know of people who may not be otherwise connected with the county. So it's a full court press on looking for folks who could use that assistance.
Yeah, they would be good resources.
We're working on the details. This is the actual distribution, and the eligibility is going to be handled by a state system. Trying to stand that up individually in this county just seemed a little bit beyond our staff's capability right now, given all the other things that are going on. But again, more details coming on that in the next weeks and month or so.
Thanks. Any other council members? Okay, there are two hands up. Eve had her hand up first, and then Lindy.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, so I would like to know about the 2-for-1 offset stuff, for going back to what Kerry was talking about, where we stand on the growth plan. Because it seems like on social media now, like on Craigslist and on Facebook, people are begging for their neighbors to come forward saying, I need a new washing machine so I can get my building permit. So I just wondered if Kerry or could explain what the 2-for-1 offset process is. And then also, I was also wondering if there was any news on the 2-for-1 offset that the Locac had required of the Morro Shores mobile home park owners at the last meeting, if there was any news or progress or change, because I know the county had said that Morro Shores didn't have to do the 2-for-1 offset. They just had to do 1-for-1. And then Locac at the meeting said, we'll approve the project, the new 10 homes, but you must do 2-for-1 offset. So 2-part question. Thank you.
Sure. I'll let Kerry talk to the specifics of Morro Shores. So to my knowledge, Morro Shores hasn't actually made it to hearing yet, so I'm not sure exactly what the situation on that is. But the general issue of the 2-to-1 offset has been in place in the wider Los Osos area for some time. I want to say 2009, maybe it's been in place for 10 years or more. That if any new development that can be permitted under existing rules is going to be required to do retrofits to show that they have saved twice the water that whatever the development is being proposed is expected to use. Now, within the sewer zone, that has been really a moot point because of conditions on the sewer plant permit. We haven't been able to connect undeveloped properties to the sewer. So new single-family houses, let's say, just haven't been allowed and still aren't allowed within the sewer service zone. So that hasn't come into play. But outside the area served by the sewer, that's resulted in 1 or 2 houses per year. There's a little bit of a change as the state has put in new regulations about auxiliary dwelling units, granny flats, what we used to call secondary dwelling units in the county parlance. And as we, the county, have modified our land use regulations in order to be in conformance with state law, as we must be, we have indicated that in Los Osos, because of the water issue, we're going to require a 2-to-1 offset for the expected water use of an auxiliary dwelling unit. That's all part of the package. Auxiliary dwelling units is all part of a number of things that are in front of the Coastal Commission for final action. And so we're in sort of a twilight zone here between what one part of the state is demanding we do and what the Coastal Commission is expecting that we do. And we're in conversations with Coastal on that. Again, I don't know if Carrie has any more specific information about the status of the Morro Shores project. I'm not familiar myself with that just at this point.
Sure, I can give you a little update. The Morro Shores, they resubmitted their package to the county and we are reviewing it. The offset requirement will be a condition of approval and they have not been scheduled for hearing yet. So they actually have to do the offsets prior to establishing the use. So although we talk about it now, they actually don't need to do it until they actually establish those or place the new mobile homes at the mobile home park. But it does take some time and you have to find people that are willing to, swap out washing machines or find ones where you're going to have a significant savings. So I can see there may be people, looking out there. It's sometimes hard to find these retrofits. So that's maybe why you're seeing it.
All right, Mr. Chair, if there are any other questions, happy to take them at this point.
Doesn't look like we have any other questions.
No,
Thank you
we
very
do,
much.
we do. We have.
Or do we? Okay.
Yeah, Lindsay.
Okay.
Good evening, Bruce. Kind of back to what Carrie was saying, maybe she'll have to address it, but so when you build a normal house and you have to do the offsets, don't you have to have the offsets presented at the time that you get your permit? So I just wondered if it was something different for Morro Shores. So that's for Carrie, and I have another question for Bruce. My question for Bruce is, we are getting a lot of federal and state funding to help with the homeless crisis. And I'm just wondering if you have any idea how much of that would be slated towards the purchase of new shelter properties, even if it's just for, I consider each community should have one for the overnight parking issues and maybe even permanent place to put vehicles, as well as tents or necessary shelters for those that normally sleep on the streets. So I guess my question is there a avenue to get money directed towards the purchase of properties, should they be found, that would serve as semi-permanent housing, homeless areas?
So the short answer is yes, but the fine print is that it's really complicated. As to the question of sanctioned encampments for folks who are living in tents or otherwise more or less unsheltered, and for safe parking programs, we were working on trying to establish sites in in a wide range of communities within the county. The federal and state funding that comes down for this, it comes in a whole bunch of different channels. And I don't have my cheat sheet on that right in front of me, so I don't remember exactly. I can't tell you exactly what the constraints on what funding streams are, but I know that we're in the process of allocating somewhere between $6 and $8 million toward preventing, responding to, and otherwise dealing with folks who are unsheltered. And those monies can be used to purchase structures. Some of them can be used for that and for the provision of services. And so within the Homeless Service Advisory Committee, that HSOC, that is our chief advisor to the board on that, we're getting, we're having extensive discussions on how best to allocate these funds to take care of a spectrum of needs. And, there will be communities where purchasing an old motel and rehabbing it, like in Paso Robles, works great. There are other communities where that isn't so much the issue. And particularly on the North Coast, what we're lacking, as far as our conversations have shown right now, is services, is actually boots on the ground, getting folks contacted, getting folks to commit to accepting services and getting them placed. And so that's really the tack we're taking right now. Some of the communities like Morro Bay may have structures that could be purchased for shelter. And we're also working with affordable housing producers. So there's a lot of different efforts going on here, and you think of it as a spectrum, from preventing folks from becoming homeless in the first place to dealing with someone who's living in a tent out in the open at the most distressing end of the homeless experience. Again, some of this will be clear in the next couple of months.
Thank you.
All right, Sandra, do we have any other questions from the public?
Well, was that other question I carried?
It was for Carrie.
Yeah.
Yes, I can respond to that question. So the retrofit is required prior to issuance of the building permit. So it's not required with your land use permit, but it is required with the building permit.
And Morro Shores is not a building permit?
It will not be a building permit, so we'll have to craft the condition a little bit differently because they are a mobile home park, so they don't get a building permit. They go through the HCD, to get their permits.
Community development.
So they could put the mobile homes in and get the credits whenever they feel like it? There's no deadline?
No, we won't let them put the mobile homes in until they've done the retrofits.
Oh, I misunderstood.
It'll be like a notice to proceed or something like that, that will have them do all of the conditions of approval prior to.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right, thanks. All right, Supervisor Gibson, thank you very much.
You bet.
All right, so do we have a CSD report?
Chris, is she?
Oh, I think that's Troy. Troy's here.
Okay.
All right,
Troy Gatchell.
Let me unmute.
There he is.
Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Troy Gatchell. So I'm new to the board. I started in January, just to introduce myself. So it's good to meet the Locac group and the broader community here. So I've been a Losos resident for 8 years. So I'm excited to understand our issues and help the community the best way I can. My background is technology, chief technology officer, and specialize in data and machine learning for clients doing e-commerce software. So it's just a tidbit of introduction. Now I'll get to the CSD report. This is our highlights from our month of February meeting. So the board has approved our advisory committee work plans for the year. So we have 4 active advisory committees, one on water and drainage, emergency services, our finance committee, and our parks and rec. That committee will help us advise the board on issues. The board on February 4th meeting, we approved all the work for the committees. And if interested, the work plans are available on the district's website at losososcsd.org or by contacting the office at 805-528-9370. Within the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee, we have been working on the Farrell Avenue Pathway project. So currently the status on that is construction bid documents for the paved pathway between 7th and Farrell on district property. Permits are almost complete and the bid documents are scheduled to be released on March 1st. This pathway will help provide a safe access from the south side of town into Baywood Park. On the Losos Basin Plan implementation update, district has been working for the past 2 years to drill a new program C well in the central portion of Losos groundwater basin to add reliability and yield to the district's water system. Environmental constraints analysis report has been completed and the board of directors selected a site for the well at the corner of South Bay Boulevard and Bay Oaks Drive. District staff is working on completing the environmental document and preparing the well drilling specifications and transmission pipeline alignment in preparation of going out to bid to construct the project. If you're interested in joining the mailing list to keep up to date on all our meetings or projects or other pertinent district information, you can sign up online at the losososcsd.org and click on join our mailing list to sign up. As a side note, like Locac, we are doing all our meetings via Zoom. So public is happy to join and participate from the comforts of your home. If you have any questions regarding the update or other district related issues, contact General Manager Ron Munns, either by phone at 805-528-9379 or email rmunns@losososcsd.org. And that's the CSD report for tonight. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Troy. Are there any questions from Locac members? Any questions from the public? Sandra, do you see?
I do not see anyone.
All right. Thank you very much, Troy. Have a good evening. Thanks for the update.
Have a great evening.
You too. All right. Do we have a Chamber of Commerce report?
Yes. Hi. Sadly, our chamber office is still closed, but we are busy working on our new directory for 2021. And I have contacted multiple photographers and we're going over the text, and we plan on having a new book out with beautiful photographs, lots and lots of those, and all of the businesses that participate in June of 2021. So that's pretty much the report. We just meet on Zoom like everybody else and work behind the scenes. That's it.
All right. Any questions from Locac members? General public?
Lindy, let me unmute
Lindy
you.
looks like she has a question. She has her hand up.
I just wanted to ask again, are you going to be able to maybe put a map, the old map that was originally inside of those chamber books? Because I noticed a few of them around town, so I picked up probably last year's, and I went, oh no, they didn't put the map in. But I was just wondering if that's still being considered, because it sure would be a help.
Yes, I'm trying very hard to get the map. We're in the process of trying to obtain it. We don't own it. So I'm trying as much as I can because I want the map, because we didn't have too many events, so the map would be really useful. So working on it.
I have a copy you could sneak in.
Thanks, Lindy.
Thank you, Lynette.
Right, any other questions, Sandra?
Annie.
No? Okay, thanks, Lynette. All right, so we're moving down. Do we have any public comment on items that are not on the agenda this evening from anybody? Sandra, do you see anybody with their hand up that has anything? All right.
I don't.
Then let's move on for the approval of the minutes from the February meeting, or no, the January meeting.
Move approval.
All right, we have an approval. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstain? Nope. Okay. All right, moving on to the committee reports. Do we have a treasurer's report from Ms. Christine Womack?
Oh, hold on. Let me unmute her. Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Treasurer's report. There are no changes. The total we have is $1,772.93, and I probably owe Sandra some money for the Zoom room. But other than that, that's it.
All right.
Have we joined the chamber, Christine?
Oh, no. Have they sent me a bill?
We'll see that you get one, okay?
Okay. You might have sent it. I didn't check the PO box this
We're
week,
having
so.
problems with our billing, so we'll see that you get one.
Okay. Excellent.
All right, let's move to traffic and circulation. Are there any updates there from that committee?
Jan.
No, my usual push would be if you notice potholes, vegetation that are blocking the views when you're driving, anything that has road issues, you need to call 805-781-5252 and report it for them. You know, they don't drive our streets like we do, so anything we can report will help them.
And if somebody wants to join your committee or be part of the committee?
They could just send an email to me.
Okay.
And I think all that information is on the website.
Great. All right, thank you.
But we haven't had any meetings for a while because there's nothing big on the horizon.
Gotcha. Okay, well, great. Thank you. And then Yale, anything to update on trees and landscaping?
Nothing new to report. We're still working behind the scene to generate some kind of a program to work together with the Park and Rec to rehabilitate the El Moro Trail. So we are making progress, but it's still behind the scenes. So hopefully next month I'll have more.
Great. And if people want to be part of the committee and listen in,
yeah.
What's the date?
Absolutely. Please come on in. We do have
What
few of
date
the
will that be? When's the next meeting?
It is the second Monday at 6:30.
Okay.
The second Monday of the month. It's been like that for a while, and we do have few of the members right here. Yeah.
Great. Thanks. All right. Outreach. Sandra, do you have anything to report on?
Still trying to I get the newsletter out at least once a month, sometimes twice. If people, even the community, has any events or happenings they would like me to include, they can find my email on the website. Also, we don't really have a Facebook presence. If there's any volunteers out there or anybody that would like to make it a project, it would be great to have that support in.
Do we even have a Facebook page that we have to promote? If you could forward me that stuff, my assistant in my office, she does a lot of that stuff, and I think it would be good for her to be able to promote it too. So if you want to forward me that information, we can we can get like a little campaign going and kind of
Yeah.
kick it off on Facebook. So
That would be great. We're always just trying to find ways to connect with the community, let them know we're here and how they can be involved and participate. So I
Great.
will get that to you. Thanks.
and then what about election committee stuff? What do we have going on
I
there?
am not the chair. Chris is the chair now.
Yes, that's on the agenda. Are we at that now?
No.
Sure. Yeah, it was just, it
Not
said
yet.
Sandra on
Not
the
yet.
Yeah, it was me.
on the
yeah.
agenda,
Yeah,
so I
it's
thought I
me.
would just segue right into it, but okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead, Chris, and then we'll get to unhoused.
Okay. All right. So we had our first meeting, Jan, Sue, Trish, and I, and we have set the application deadline is March the 14th, and Jan is coordinating with the community center to have our election on May the 15th. So we'll double check with her but I think that was looking good. Applications can be sent to our PO box, which I don't have in front of me, or at my email, cwomack, CWOMACK 1968 @gmail.com. I sent the emails, or I sent an email to everyone who applied last year and asked them to consider reapplying. I think Sue wrote our announcement, and Sandra and Lynette worked to put it on our website. So I think we're looking good.
Great.
And are there?
Did I miss anything?
There's a seat open in every district, right?
Yes, and the sitting members whose seats are up are Yale and Larry.
And the other two are vacant?
One is me,
Oh.
and the other is vacant, I believe.
Okay.
Right.
Any questions, or did I miss anything?
Have we
And do we
gotten
have any
any new
questions from
applications?
anybody, public members that have questions about elections? Sandra, you see anybody with their hand up?
I don't see anybody. No. And the deadline was March.
So,
15th, is that right?
March 14th, yes. I made it Sunday.
I thought on the
And,
website it was 13.
And it would be great, actually, if we got that announcement on Facebook, too.
Yeah, we'll push that out.
Okay.
So I have a silly question, really silly question. The city ones, we have to go through the same process, right? I mean,
You have to fill out an application, yes.
and write the statement and all that.
Yeah. Yes, please.
And Sue, you had your hand raised.
Yes, I was just gonna say, Sandra, could you put that in the newsletter also if you do on Monday?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, Yale, the unhoused residents forum, do you have any updates on that?
Yeah, so we had our first meeting last week, and it was pretty good meeting. We accomplished the mission statement, and I would like to read it to you. The Unhoused Residents Subcommittee will collaborate with county agencies, nonprofit organizations, community groups, and residents in order to address homelessness in Los Osos. The committee will seek to identify needs in order to facilitate both immediate solutions and services, while also developing ideas and action steps for long-term solutions, while hearing and considering community concerns. Lynette already put it on our page on Locac, so it's there, together with a video of the meeting, if anybody wants to check it out. And we further identified that, based on this mission statement, identified that we are going to work on short-term solutions, which are more immediate. They need right away, as soon as possible, and long-term solutions that will be more of solving the issue of the homelessness in this area. And that we will work with the county, and we will just talk to our supervisor, Gibson. So that's for now.
All right, any questions from Locac members? Any questions from the public, Sandra, that you see? Anybody have their hands up? All right, thanks, Yael. All right, so we can move on to the consent agenda items. Larry, do you have any information on the Welton project?
Just that we had the two projects that we decided to just put them on the consent agenda. I don't think we needed any discussion unless anyone had some.
They were unanimous
questions
at
specific.
land use.
Is that a motion,
Well-
Larry?
Yeah, so a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I'll second that motion.
All right.
We
All
have
those in
questions.
favor?
Do we need to open it up for questions or comments first? And with
No,
consent,
not for the consent.
Yeah, we should.
we always add
CSE
just
does.
for clarifying, just if there's any like.
Larry, do you want
clarifying
to
questions.
discuss kind of what it was about and give some background on it?
Why don't I just, I see there's a couple people that have some questions. I'll let them ask their questions, just answer them.
Okay, I'll unmute Lindy.
Yeah, that was just my question, was just for the public, and a refresher for those of us that have forgotten what the two projects were that we decided we would just put on consent. So that's all.
Okay, so the Weldon project is a house being built on San Sebastian in an area outside the prohibition zone. And we decided it's a good project. And the other was a permit to build a larger deck on the back of their house. And we decided that was a project that fit the community and the house and the area. And they're going through all the right steps to get this larger deck built. Does that answer your questions, Lindy?
I guess the Weldon project could have had a little more description that it's a big farmhouse and anyway. But that's good. Thank you. The public
Okay.
listening doesn't have any clues, so thank you.
All this has been posted on the land use agenda and links to it. And it's also been posted on the Locac agenda with links to it. So we've tried to make this as public and as open as we possibly can. So the information is there for anyone who wants it.
All right.
Okay.
So we had a motion and a second. Do we have any yays for accepting the consent agenda?
Yay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Any opposed? All right. Moving on to the regular agenda items. Thanks, Larry. Do you want to give some background on Standback? I know that they withdrew. I don't know if they withdrew from Locac or there's some issues with the permit that they want to deal with before they move forward.
We had questions about this project. I'm pulling the item from the agenda.
Okay.
And we're going to table this item until the questions are answered and satisfied at the county planning department. They didn't have time to get back to us on this information. So this item is being tabled until further notice.
Are we still going to take any questions or anything? If anybody has any questions or concerns about it that
Well, okay, I could open it up to the public if someone did, and Locac said anyone had questions, but I can't discuss it because I haven't gotten the answers that I need to discuss it.
Okay.
But if there are questions, we'll try to see what we can do with them.
Okay, Sandra, is there anybody that has questions on that?
Oh, Yael.
No, I just think that if they're not present here, it's going to be difficult to discuss it, I think. Maybe
Okay.
Table
So we can move on to the next one.
Okay. The next project is Papa Bear Farms. They want to run a cannabis business, a non-store business. I guess it's a delivery business on property on 215 11th Street here in Losos. It's a little small commercial building next door to the vet that's down there, Losos,
Oh, where it is.
which
Bear
one?
Valley Animal Clinic.
Bear Valley. Yeah, Bear Valley, and across the street there's the storage yard, I guess, for the auto parts place or something, the auto repair place. So we just wanted to see this on the agenda in case there was more public or input on this. We want to make sure it's open and stuff. But again, they're not going to be selling out of the store or anything. They're just using it as a business location. And they're going through all the permits with the county and stuff. And we saw nothing wrong with this. But if there are any questions or anything, please feel free to ask. I don't know if they're here, somebody here to answer questions, but.
Is somebody here from Papa Bear Farms to discuss?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, I see.
Carrie Hartwig is here.
Rachel's. Yeah, Rachel.
Oh, let me unmute Carrie.
No, it's Rachel.
Hi there, it's Carrie as well. Carrie and
Hi.
Rachel.
Oh,
Good evening.
Hi, how are you? Good evening.
Good.
Good. So yes, we are here. We wanted to be available to answer questions. I can give you a little bit of a background on the project, and we have the owners. We've got Rachel, and we've also got Adam on the line as well. But if you had any questions to start off with, please let us know. Otherwise, I can tell you a little bit about it.
Yeah, why don't you give us a little bit of background, and then we'll open it up for discussion if anybody has any questions.
Sure, sounds good. So Papa Bear Farms is an existing cannabis mobile delivery service, and they're open and operating currently in San Luis Obispo County. They've been operating there for about 1.5 years. They are currently in the land use permitting process to move their existing business to Losos in the location that Larry described at 2015 11th Street. The project proposes 842 square feet of cannabis mobile delivery space, and the business will conduct sales exclusively by delivery only. And like Larry said, again, it won't be open to the public. Now, the family has been in the Losos area for many years, and Papa Bear Farms is a family-run and owned and operated business. And the applicants have a very good working relationship with county staff, code enforcement, and the sheriff's department. And they're currently working on finalizing their LUP application and hope to have approval by the county within the next couple of months.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions from Locac members?
So is it used for storage, or is it more just business and administration and vehicles?
It'll be used in 2 spaces. One will be like a dispatch office where an office dispatch person will take orders by phone and over the internet. And then there will be a secure storage area where they will have the cannabis product prepackaged and stored, and then they will take it out for deliveries.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions from members before we go to the public? Sandra, do you see anybody with their hand raised? Anybody have any questions?
I don't see any. Oh, Lindy.
Lindy?
Hold on. There you go.
I'm always got questions. I just wanted to verify, I understood it was 2 existing buildings. Is there construction involved with this, or is this just a change of use type of setting?
It's actually suites A and B, how it's designated right now. But they are currently connected with a walkway through it. So they're not doing any major tenant improvements to the building. But it is considered suite A and suite B.
So it's kind of just a change of use?
Exactly, yes.
Okay, that makes, that clarifies it. I just wondered why you're having to do a whole building permit, but thank you.
Yes, sure.
All right, any other questions? All right, so do we have any motion?
I'd like to make a motion that Locac supports this project.
I'll second it.
Okay.
All right. All those in favor of supporting the project?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay.
And we thank you so much for your support and your approval. And we're definitely looking to become coming back to Losos. So thank you guys very much. We appreciate
And
it.
become a member
All right.
of the Chamber of Commerce, Bill.
Yes, that's right. We will.
All right, thank you. All right, so moving on to the San Luis Resource Conservation District. We have somebody there that's gonna be giving us their presentation, Sandra.
I think Hallie Richard I have on the list. Let me see. Here we go. Yes.
And Hallie, did you want to share your screen? Did you have any type of like PowerPoint or something that you wanted us to be able to share with you?
I do, yeah. Can you give me controls?
Yeah.
Yes, let me find you again.
And good evening, Hallie. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for having me tonight. I appreciate
Yeah, thanks for
it.
coming on.
Yeah,
I think you might have to not make me a co-host, or you could make her one to share her screen, Tim.
All right, let's see.
Or I don't see that, or maybe you can make her one. I can't.
Let's see what I can do. Okay.
There's
Try
that
this.
arrow in share screen that you click on, and it says you can let participants
Well,
share
you
their
made her-
screen or not.
I think you're co-host now, Hallie. So
Yeah, Hallie, do you see there now that can you click on?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
There you go.
Okay. So I'm Hallie Richard. I'm the Conservation Programs Manager for the Coastal San Luis RCD. We're kind of under the radar, but we have been around since 1953. So those of you who are not familiar with or have worked with the RCD in the past, I encourage you to check out our website at coastalrcd.org. And then I'll skip all the introduction slides there. So tonight I'm going to share our Losos Wetland Restoration Project. It's funded by the State Coastal Conservancy and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and supported greatly by the NRCS, by the National Estuary Program, by the County of San Luis, and the CCC. And so I'll give a little bit of context to the property and then talk about the objectives and the approach and the outcomes of the project. That's okay. I'll make it pretty quick. So as Los Osos residents, I'm sure that you're aware of the importance of the estuary, and also that it's greatly impacted. Like one of the biggest impacts to the estuary health is sedimentation from upstream. And so hydrologically, as you can kind of see, this project area here is the confluence, the like alluvial floodplain of Warden Creek and Los Osos Creek prior to discharging into the estuary. And so one of the most important methods to reduce the sediment deposition in the estuary is by reconnecting these historic floodplains. And we have done a similar project. The RCD did a similar project on Chorro Flats, which is up here in the north part of your screen, a similar geologic or hydrologic area where Chorro Flats or Chorro Creek flattens out before it enters the estuary. And so historically, this property was, like I said, the alluvial floodplain. And then for about the last 100 years, it was really significantly modified with levees to take advantage of that really fertile soil. And let's see, here we go. So here, on the right, you can see the property. This is a photo from 1994. So you can see how the levees really channelize the creeks on either side of the property to move the water through the property quickly in order to farm it and have it not flood all the time. And so the RCD approached the landowners in 1995 and put the property under a conservation easement, and then subsequently into a wetland conservation program. And so then cultivation stopped in 1995. In 2015, the RCD actually acquired the property. So we bought the 80-acre property with funding from the Coastal Conservancy with the objective of wetland restoration. And then since 2015, we have developed a restoration plan. We have developed 8 restoration design alternatives with hydrologists and engineers. And then we also convened a technical advisory committee to vet those design alternatives. And in 2020, we selected the design, we completed the CEQA process, and now this year we are completing restoration designs, securing permits, and moving forward with construction potentially in the fall of this year. And then just quickly, here's, I think maps of this area are super cool. On the left, you can see this is 1937. And you can see the braiding of the natural braiding of Losos Creek. So this is all the sediment dropped out here before it went into the estuary. And you can also kind of see the beginnings of the manipulation of the creek into levees. And on the right over here, this is a more recent LiDAR imagery of the property, where you can really see the impacts of the levees, how it kept the creeks away from the natural floodplain for almost 100 years. And so that kind of brings us to the actual project. We are proposing the following 3 objectives: improve fish passage, restoration of coastal dune scrub habitat, and reconnection of the floodplain. And the pathway to getting to those. The reconnection of the floodplain is kind of the biggest part of this project. We will breach the levee. There's a levee that contains Warden Creek. We'll breach it in 4 locations, and each location is about 100 linear feet. And so that water moves through the property kind of from the south up to the north. So those breaches will allow the creek flows to leave the levee and reconnect into this floodplain here, where they'll slowly kind of deposit their sediment before it reaches back with the main stem of Losos Creek. And the restoration approach for the coastal dune restoration. So there's this small, like 4-acre area in the property that is characterized by baywood fine sands and coastal dune scrub vegetation. And so currently there's I don't know if many of you are familiar with the property. There's a dilapidated house that used to be the homestead. There's also a barn, a lot of ice plant, and then just general infrastructure, homestead infrastructure. So we'll remove the infrastructure, treat the ice plant, and then revegetate the area with native plants such as Moro manzanita, which is we're very grateful for state parks who are propagating some Moro manzanita for us. And then black sage, coyote brush, kind of the general normal plants for the upland coastal scrub area. And then lastly, the approach for the fish passage barrier removal. So this isn't so much construction, it's more like deconstruction. There are 3 perched culverts, and those culverts are preventing normal flow of Warden Creek through the property. They're also preventing steelhead passage from the estuary upstream to rearing and spawning habitat. So we'll remove the culverts, and then it's about 120 linear feet where we'll create kind of a low water graded crossing. So the bottom of the crossing will be rocked and roughened, so allowing passage for vehicles if needed. But generally, we're not really anticipating any vehicles needing to pass there. There's an agricultural well at the end of the road that the neighboring property owner occasionally needs to access. So during the time where we're removing the culverts, we're going to dewater the creek. So we'll install cofferdams on the upstream and downstream extents, and then divert the flows through a corrugated plastic culvert. And prior to all this, we will have certified biologists monitor and remove any red-legged frog or tidewater goby or steelhead that are present. And so the end product is passive sediment capture in the natural floodplain rather than in the estuary, which will result in the increased health of the estuary, restoration of 40 acres of coastal wetlands, and improved habitat for foraging, breeding, and rearing for tidewater goby, steelhead, and red-legged frog, as well as in the upland area, enhanced habitat for the Moro shoulder-bend snail and Moro manzanita. And in order to kind of quantify these impacts, we're going to be doing ongoing water quality monitoring and sediment deposition monitoring, as well as wetland criteria monitoring. And we do anticipate periodic maintenance of the crossing, but generally it'll be a very passive, low maintenance project after restoration is complete. And yeah. And that's it. So if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
All right, any questions, Sandra, from Locac members?
I have.
Let me see here. Let me see if I can put you back on as co-host. You still co-host, Sandra?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Lynette, you can go.
Oh, thanks. Hallie, that was a great presentation. Thank you very much. It was fascinating. And I had done some research on the area, and I don't know if this is true or not, so maybe you've heard of this. I heard that within 400 years, the whole estuary would be filled in completely. And would this project be part of what would keep that from happening?
It would. That's a good question. And you know, when we talk about models like that, like the estuary will be completely filled in 400 years, there's lots of factors that go into it. And so it is a complex model, but yes. So preventing sediment from the upstream by natural deposition here in this floodplain will prevent or slow down the infill of the estuary.
Great. Yeah, I mean, it sounds awesome. You're bringing it back to what it should be, what it naturally wants to be doing, right? I mean, that's great.
When do you start? When is the project supposed to start?
Well, kind of theoretically, it started in 2015 as far as the whole planning process. But the actual on the ground construction is kind of a misnomer, but deconstruction, if you will, should start in July, depending on when our permits are secured.
Can you, I think I missed at the very beginning exactly where the property is. What are the what are the closest cross streets or?
Turry Road.
Okay.
So it's about 2 miles down Turry Road from the intersection with South Bay Boulevard. Or no, maybe not 2 miles, maybe 1.25 miles down Turry Road.
From South Bay. Okay.
From South Bay. Mm-hmm.
All right, any other questions from Locac members? Anybody from the public, Sandra, that you see on there that's got their, Lindy, you have your hand raised?
Thank you for the presentation. I was a little confused about it because the project's lots of data that I couldn't understand. But I guess I question how to go back and see Churro Flats area, the prior project has had what, 20 years or so?
Almost
And
25
how is that?
years.
25, yeah, because I remember when the bridge got put in. But it seemed like right after that, people were complaining because when we had high rain events, the water was right up to the bridge again. How is that project faring? And do you have a lot of maintenance that they continue doing on that? Just to see, because I have questions about this project.
Right. Yeah, so that project, I know I've heard, I wasn't here then 25 years ago, but I understand there was some initial kind of backlash from the public about that project, but generally it's considered a very successful and effective floodplain reconnection project, and is used as a lot of models for current restoration. And it is entirely passive. We have had to do zero maintenance. We just allowed it to go back to its natural, removing the berms and levees and allowing it to go back to its natural habitat. One kind of caveat of the Resource Conservation District is that we're entirely grant funded. So often, like for instance, we don't have the money to go back and do the really intensive assessment of how much sediment has been deposited at Churro Flats. I'd really like to do that, to be able to answer that question specifically.
Okay.
Hey, I had a question about timing. You say you'll be starting in July. How long do you anticipate the project to take?
We will be out of the creek by October 31st. And then I think
year.
Sorry?
31st of the current year.
Correct. And then we'll have CCC crews doing revegetation after that.
New bridge going across the creek. Right in the general area there you're working.
No.
No, that's coming later.
No.
I think you're talking about the South Bay Boulevard.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that is.
Yeah, it's a little further down the road. You're out of there by October. Shouldn't be a problem.
Lindy?
Yeah, I had a couple other questions too. I was sort of really curious about, are there steelhead going up that Churro Flats area that was preserved? Because I know that area and I really, there's no water in it right now. Well, from where that house is, I almost went down, but I can't see any water. There's so many willows that clog up that whole area from the high school all the way down to where the house and barn are. And my brain kind of went, really? Steelhead coming, that could be a river that steelhead would use? And had something like that work?
Yes. And so one of the really amazing thing about steelhead is their ability to adapt to the conditions. And so even if it's 1 year in 5 years where they're able to make it upstream, they will do it.
So on a big rainy year, we'd probably have more steelhead being able to use it. So
a year where it rains more than one time.
Okay, yeah, we're looking for one of those. Another question was, I know that the old county dump that we had off Turi there is got all kinds of remediation going on. It's been going on since they closed it. And they recently bumped it up to twice as much because regional board came down on them. How does that water, the pollution going into that water area, which is right above, have you looked into that? And is that a consideration for what you're proposing? Because you talked about water quality and I don't know how bad that is. Hopefully they're getting enough of it out before it gets into the groundwater, but That, and then I wondered if there was any tree removal planned.
So we work very closely, just by our nature, we work very closely with the county public works. And so we have discussed any kind of nexus between our project and the dump remediation. And there really wasn't any opportunity to kind of combine any efforts in there. As far as the levels of nitrates that are in the surface water leaving, leaving their site, coming onto our site. The benefit of the project is, just by the nature of a floodplain, it slows the flows, and anything that's bound to the sediment will filter out. And then anything, like just the process of water moving through vegetative systems is a natural kind of filtration. So there's, the likelihood that just moving through the wetland will help to remove some of the nitrates from upstream.
Okay, and then tree removal, are you going to be removing some of the willows, or
yeah,
it's really thick, super thick in there?
There are, I think, between 10 and 15 large willows that we'll be removing in order to breach the levee and to put in, or to remove the culverts. And we will be replanting a number, just by the nature of the project, we are revegetating certain areas, and the willows will come back.
Okay, thank you very much. It looks like a good project.
All right, do we have any other questions, Sandra? Do you see anybody with their hands up?
I have just one quick question.
Okay.
Is this considered is it private property or is it county property?
It's private property.
So it's not public access.
The RCD owns the property. Sorry. It is kind of common among people who have been in Losos for a long time. Birders are often walking around the property. We don't really, there's a gate on it, but there's often people using the property for hiking and stuff.
Okay, thank you.
But technically it's private property.
Is the 4 acres been purchased by somebody and for removal of that house and barn? And
the 4 acres is part of the 80-acre parcel.
And it's privately owned?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions before anybody want to make a motion?
I move approval.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Yeah.
There's a lot of seconds there. I think we'll take Sandra's. All right, all in favor of approval?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. All right, Hallie, thank you very much for your presentation. That was great.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
Yeah. All right, so I guess that concludes the meeting. There's nothing else on the agenda.
I move we adjourn.
All right. Any second?
Famous last words.
Yeah. Team doesn't need any second.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. We'll
All
see you
right,
guys
thanks.
later. Okay. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Night.
Bye.
Night.
Bye, everybody.